Well, hello, hi. It is me. It is I. Small town Didi, your hiding these every internet and akastraha and back allow yala. Oh my god. I'm not gonna continue to apologize about this because at this point I'm just angel, right? I'm like, oh my god, I get you the review in time. Then I don't. I was eating Doritos, having coffee. Mm. Coffee makes the world make sense. Real Housewives of Durban review, episode 8 or 9. I think it's 8. I don't know. I call this one the great rehashing. That's all we got this episode. A rehash of what transpired the previous episode. So my notes aren't even good. I'm going to try to be in and out of your hair as soon as possible because all they did was talk about what happened on the trip. We have Sarisha hosting Slee and Mabusi in the opening act, and they're talking about whether or not JoJo will accept Mabusi's apology. Mabusi, who is confused as to how does she not even want to hear me out when she did what she did to me. I was willing to sit with her, hear her out, and also open-heartedly, accept her apology because I felt she was sincere. She's quite gutted, Mabusi, about her behavior. But you guys know how I feel about this. I don't think she should care as much as she does because George is not even willing to see what she did to escalate. And in case you thought I was making it up, Mabusi says, I'm so sorry. What triggered me is her standing up and doing that physical shit. It triggered her. It was a trauma response for her to back her off of her because this person has physically done something to her in the past, which is throw that drink on her, right? So it was a response to. So instead of critiquing the reaction, maybe let's try to figure out how we got that reaction. And we can see that actually it's justified because that did get her off of her, did it not? Right? If she continued to be talking nice with her, the more JoJo would physically do stuff that would trigger her. She backed her off of her. Like, I don't give a shit. I don't care. But that's basically the gist of the visit of Sarisha talking to Slee, and Slee tells us that she's working on this line. Baby, we haven't seen a thread flash across the screen regarding this financially stretched clothing line that Slee keeps talking about. Not a thread, not a meeting with the designer, and perhaps there have been scenes that just didn't air. But okay, JoJo and her husband go over to a gallery to try and sell her art. This was a filler scene for the most part, but like it brings to the fore for me how you already need to be uniquely positioned to get your foot in the door. Plenty of talented artists who don't have access, like who don't have a husband that can help them buy their way in. Because art is made up, right, in terms of how it's priced. And we see that in the scene. They go to a gallery to have, somebody at a curator of sorts review her art and see if it's something they would want to carry in the gallery, see if there's an audience for it and stuff like that. Really, abstract art is one of those things that just has people confused half of the time. It's all very pretentious, or they try to make you feel like you just don't know enough. You don't know enough. That's why you don't have a view on this Basquiat that you're looking at. And that's a different topic altogether. But like you made it up. You made up the value of this thing. And unless it's like fine art where we're actually critiquing that somebody can draw, like not necessarily that all artwork has to be, hyper realistic or whatever, but some pieces are just good. Like nothing needs to be explained to you. But so often we don't want to come across like we don't know what's going on. So we steer clear of it, and then they can launder their money and stuff that they want to do by inflating these artworks like JoJo's artwork, where really this is a rich woman who has access to money, who can, with her pocket money, go buy a large canvas. That somebody like me, even if I could do something more impressive in that it requires skill for me to do, I can't afford that. Like I'd have to save up for it. Then she can also afford like high-end acrylic paints and stuff to do the textures. It's all an issue of she can buy her way into the space. And often that is the case. When I think of entrepreneurship, um, outside of art and stuff, a person like me who went into self-employment and entrepreneur, I don't have that backing that's going to give me a leg up, right? That's like the story of the young black entrepreneur. Everybody thinks you can just like business your way out of it. Like, let's start businesses. It's gonna fix it. Like all the young people, you're all just so lazy. No, you already need the buy-in, right? Somebody who wants to set up a bakery or whatever, the oven at home is probably not even working properly, right? You are at the very back end. But people like JoJo, guys, you could be doing the most beautiful art somewhere in Soweto. This gallery would give you the runaround for you to even get a meeting with them. But her husband can get her one. And she can sit there and be like, oh my God, I'm just so like sensitive about my art. And I'm just, girl, in all fairness, you're smearing some shit on a canvas. Like, what's impressive about it is the scale of it. And that's not something you did. Somebody else stretched that canvas. Like the scale of it is what might make it compelling or visually interesting to look at in a room. Not any skill, not your point of view, because I fucking know you don't have one. You're too dense for that shit. But anyway, we move. Slee goes to see her guide, her spiritual guide. I don't like when you guys call your spiritual guides your fathers, right? In the church context with that TB Joshua shit, in the spiritual context. If somebody is leading you somewhere because they've done it before, they're your mentor. Okay, you're a mentee. Once you start using these familiar like terms to describe that, it disturbs the balance for me. And it really has nothing to do with your transparency, but I don't like it. Oh, my spiritual father, where the fuck is your daddy? Find your fucking dad and stop seeking these relationships in perfect strangers who are going to use not only their positions as your guide, but now that you've added that father word, that makes that relationship even more manipulative. And all of this stuff where you guys started a few years ago calling the heads of your church Papa and fuck, where is your daddy? Oh, fuck is your dad? It's not your fault that he ran off, but that man is not your dad. You don't get to call him that. She goes over to see her mentor. She goes over to see her spiritual guide. That's who he is to her. And she's explaining that she has she wants to do a ceremony for the girls to initiate them into girlhood or teenhood, but the kids' father side are Christian and they don't do African practices, and she doesn't have access to her paternal ancestors. She when she communicates with the other realm, she's speaking to her maternal side because her dad has never been present enough and there's no connection there, and she's seeking to find him. This storyline keeps getting cut short, and I've been meaning to make a video about it. The video I was supposed to put out before this was supposed to be about you guys will see me revisit this conversation of like fathers who run off, and because it's such a problem in our society, right? But her guide warns her to say, you're gonna have to be strong and you may have to forgo this thing that you feel you're missing, because his words are so profound to me. He's like, you may go seeking for a dad, but you're just gonna find a man. You're just gonna find somebody who donated some fucking sperm, fathered you, and you're seeking this thing because we're told that if you don't have this thing, you don't know who you are, you don't know where you come from. But you're seeking answers from a person who's lost themselves. All they had was some fucking swimmers. They have nothing else. No way to guide you, no way to comfort you. They had swimmers. That's it. And you were one of the swimmers. And we learn here he has 16 children by different women. Don't go looking for this man, Slee. This man don't give a shit about nothing. Okay? Great. Nonko and Zama, this is where the rehashing starts. Nonko and Zama link up, and then we have Slee hosting Angel and Amy. And in both scenes, they're all just talking about what happened on the trip. Like, honestly, in both scenes, we also need to remember how Zama and Nonko, the last time they had a one-on-one was after Zama's 40th birthday party. And when they had the one-on-one, Nonko was trying to call her out on how dismissive she was of Angel. And from that scene, they wanted nothing to do with each other. Zama wanted Nonko to audition for her friendship and, for them to bond about God. Nowhere in the scene was God mentioned. It was just good old-fashioned skinnering, which I love. So I don't know where God was in this particular scene. And then we have Amy and Slee and Angel also rehashing what happened on the trip. These ladies make too much room for Angel, and they know that Angel is a liar. Too much room is made for Angel to come through and still act like she isn't telling the kinds of lies that she's telling, because why? Alliances. They've already formed those alliances and now they must see them through. I wouldn't make room for Angel if I was Slee. Slee knows Angel said some shit about her. Deep down, she knows that, right? But they talk about they just rehash stuff, guys. Amy says she's hosting a tea party, but that she didn't invite Maria and Zama. I feel like Amy could have sat down with Maria before the tea party and they could have quashed it quite easily because they don't have a real beef, right? They're just letting this monster grow. They could have sat together, had a tea. Like, there's not enough beef there. None of them have enough skin in the game for them to act like, oh my God, But anyway, Nonko is on gummies. Yes, we learned that she's not just like a sober legend. She's actually taking gummies to be. I think filming might actually be, I sit here and I talk my shit, but I really think it takes a lot to be in front of those cameras and then season after season come back and be, and Nonko, for all her shortcomings, actually comes across as a hypersensitive person. This would take a toll on her. So I don't fault her for needing assistance to be around these women. We can't all be chemically adjusted the same way. And if she feels like she needs, I'm glad it's not alcohol, because honestly, I feel as a society, I've done a video about this already, that we don't like really comprehend how dangerous alcohol is. I'm not an expert in like weed or gummy and shit of that nature, but she seems to have her bearings on whatever it is that she is. The ladies are judging her for it. I don't know enough, and I haven't seen anything alarming as opposed to when she's on alcohol, but I see why she would need it to be around the ladies. It's always a pressure cooker moment with these kinds of shows and this particular group of ladies. Slee links up with Maria because they've decided that they were actually cool, and now they feel like they're letting other people's beefs come in between them, and they sit down to have a chat. And Maria says, you know what, guys, this whole Neil and Maria sitting on the dick stuff, I can't believe it's growing legs. First of all, Amy bringing it up was it threw me off a little. It just felt like it was the middle of a fight and you needed to pull something out of your arsenal, and like you pulled whatever you pulled you through. Like it's not necessarily a grenade, but like it just was, it didn't land when it was thrown at Maria, but Maria's carrying it. And I don't know if she understands that she's the one making it grow legs. At the same time, Maria has problems at home, we learn in the scene. Maria needs to create distractions. Other things need to grow legs. Least production says, actually, let's go film at your house because you're giving us nothing this season. Let's get some scenes with your husband. She can't fucking have that. I've been asking since season began, Maria, where's your husband? Because I could tell something is wrong. She's doing too much. She's doing all of this to keep us from looking here. She's doing a bit much. We learn here. Slee, she says she's hurt by Slee. She's like, when Amy said that thing about me riding dicks, I felt like you all had no consideration for my child who's gonna see this, possibly get bullied. Again, putting 20 and 10 for me. Honestly, you all have kids on the show and you all say shit to each other on the show. Are we not gonna have a show? Are we not going to have a show? And this wasn't a direct attack on your kids, but because you need this thing to become this mammoth issue, you now must use your child to bark this thing. It's the same thing Angel's doing with Zama. Or Zama's talking shit about your parents. Zama isn't talking shit about your parents. Zama's talking shit about you. Okay? You don't need to attach your parents to this. Whew, I haven't checked that mic since we started recording. It's still on, guys. This content stuff. But this is all unnecessary versus what Zama did say about Amy. And her kids were part of that situation. And you are essentially saying this woman engineered a situation that put her children's lives in danger. It's like, it's not the same. And she tries to it's not landing to me. The Neil thing, that the dick riding thing needs to die. The fact that in the preview for the next episode, she's taking a lie detector test I'm like, baby, shit must be really bad at your house. Shit must really be terrible, which is things happen in marriages, things happen in relationships. They fall apart, they don't last, whatever. But anyway, she says to Slee, because you and I were still cool. And they were still cool, guys. If you remember, at Angel's thing, when JoJo Slee was the only other person Maria felt she could go and tell that she's putting together a trip for the ladies. Because they were cool. They were still perfectly fine, So she's like, when Amy said what she said about me riding dicks, it hurt me to hear you be the co-signing voice on that side of the aisle. To which Slee apologizes, they don't have a strong enough relationship to not. They seem disposable to each other, but I actually need them to maintain some kind of relationship because they might be the bridge between the two groups. Because the filming here and there and this group, I can't do that stuff. It's an ensemble cast. I need to see them having scenes together, But yeah, what else happened? Oh, they talk about she says that's going to harm her kid. And then they ask about the husband. Where is your husband, Maria? Maria's like, oh yeah, he's there. Things aren't going well. In her confessional, she tells us that she hasn't felt comfortable enough to be vulnerable with these women about what's going on in her home life. But shit is happening over there. I don't like Maria's confessional look because the mash does not match. And it's distracting. Great. The party. What's her name? Amy's tea party was a bust for me. She had invited everybody except for Maria and Zama. But again, the camps. Nogo, who was invited, JoJo, who was invited, decided to snub Amy. Amy hasn't done anything to them. But because they're now team so-and-so, they now can't show up to this tea party. They have a separate thing, a game night at Nonko's house. There's a lot of filming happening at Nonko's house, if anybody has picked up on that. Even Zama, because we don't know where Zama lives. They couldn't go film at Zama's card box or wherever the fuck she's at. So they had to go film the scene at Nonko's house. We're having the scene at Nonko's house. We have another scene later on at Nonko's house. But at Amy's thing, we only have Soso showing up, who's super early. Soso's face has been serving this season. You guys go look at her makeup looks, even her confessionals. Her face has been baby, eating the fuck down, just doing the most. I don't know who's on her looks for the season, but I'm for it. Keep that team. And then my girl Slee shows up. Her gown seems too small for her bust area, but she's a beautiful girl, so she can generally get away with a lot. And then Amy's late to hosting people. Tacky. They're there, just the three of them. The scene was a good scene in that we usually get quality conversations with these women, right? On the other side, they were bouncing between these scenes with Nonko hosting the girls and they playing games. And then in both scenes, they just rehash what happened because Neil is at the scene at Nonko's house. So they're telling Neil what happened. Neil forces some tears and tries to cry. And then they all have to like fake huddle around him. Again, making the whole riding dick thing grow legs. Like for me, Amy made it what it wasn't, and Maria's continuing to make it what it wasn't. If you and your gay friend are goofy like that, where you do sexual stuff because you know you don't have the hots for each other like that, because you're just not drawn to each other in that kind of way. If you all goof off like that and you know you do, throw it away as that, oh, we goof off like that all the time. I don't think Amy's making up what she saw. That said, you know that's her husband. But for some conservative people, that could still be a bit much, even for your husband. Like, I'm not about to fake grind on my gay friends because I have no rhythm. Like, that's really my main problem. But, like, also, and I've been friends with, like, since we were teens, but, like, it's not our vibe. That said, I wouldn't be so taken aback if I met up with another girl and she's with her friend who happens to be gay and they were having a fun moment and they did that. I wouldn't be taken aback like that. But I'm not super conservative either. So to the ladies, it may have been like, sure, he's gay, but like, that's a bit much, Maria. You know, is that a cry for help? Is there no grinding happening at home, perhaps? You know, but to make it what it isn't is also like, huh? But Maria to carry the bone herself, I can't. The Neil thing is getting out of hand. Neil is there fake crying. Do you and Maria have the same practitioner? Fire them. But then it's JoJo and them and everybody saying, oh, her child is gonna have to see that and bloody blah, bloody blah. The other ladies acting like, first of all, it's the bringing things on scene that didn't happen in scene. You guys know I hate that by now. We have nothing to go off of. But if it happened, it sounds like it happened in the makeup room when they were probably doing the shoot for the promo for the season. It sounds like that's when it happened. But okay, Sarisha says to the ladies, Angel is not in the scene because she had a family emergency apparently. I always love when somebody isn't present for a long period because we can figure out if the show needs them or can do without them. We can do without Angel. And she says that she wants to plan a trip for the ladies and see if they can mend stuff. And now I'm like, she's gonna plan a trip. Are the ladies allowed to say they're not coming? Like, is production gonna allow that? Since people can disinvite other people or tell other people not to come to dinner, are we allowed to skip out on trips? This is a breakdown in production. I don't know, but I guess the ladies will be forced to go on this trip. And then they talk about RD, who's RD, Nonko's ex, and C says no, he wants to link up and talk to me, so I'm gonna go over and hear what he has to say. And this thing we hear Soso say, the rumor is that Manoli, I think that's his name, that's Maria's husband, has apparently been overseas and is living his own life, doing whatever somewhere. And in the scene, I shrieked a bit and I was like, people in glass houses, you know, as a historian. Historically, whenever a housewife has thrown a dagger at the demise of somebody's marriage or, you know, the perceived demise thereof, that thing usually comes back to bite them in the ass. People do not think your shit is impervious to the bullshit, because it's not. Okay, you and Uncle Viv over there. Right, great. We see Nonko at Nonko's house. Her therapist comes over, and again, it's about men. Nonko's a lover, and I need to let it go. I need to stop wishing different for her and accept that she's just the kind of woman who needs to be partnered, like who yearns for that thing. And I think it definitely has a lot to do with her being Christian. A lot of Christian women are baited into um, performing Christianity by way of marriage. Like somehow they're all convinced that God's favor comes only in this way. Like how you having a marriage, the strength of your marriage or the perceived strength of your marriage is the ultimate flex of you being God's favorite. It's something that's preached in the church. Women go to church and pray for husbands and all kinds of stuff. And I feel there's an imbalance. The men don't have that kind of pressure. This is also why we find women trying to make like a marriage that's otherwise not working, forcing it and trying to make it work. But Nonko is one of these women. She badly wants the picture to be completed because it's been decided that the nuclear family is how you honor God. Having a husband is God favoring you. I can't do it. We learned that she's been dating somebody. She's looking good. She spent so much money on her body and stuff. But this person she's dating, she says they aren't Christian enough and also they are partnered. I don't know what that says about her faith in terms of she bends her faith whenever she wants to. I don't think you're allowed to date another person's partner. Like, I don't think that's a thing. That said, she's also talking to another person. I do like her not putting all her eggs in one basket. I think more women should do this. This thing where we're dating a person and then we tie ourselves down to them without having certain assurances and certain commitments is like the literally our pitfall as women. And I like this idea of like dating multiple people. And I'm not saying sleeping with them if that's not what you want to do, but going on dates. My going on dates with this person should not then restrict me from tomorrow doing breakfast with another person. It's an interview process. We're eliminating and we're seeing what's working. But often we take all our energy, like zone in on this one person who's not even showing promise like that. We need to stop doing that. I'm working on that myself personally. But anyway, yeah, she used to have a life coach. So she's a therapist now. I don't know if she's still seeing the life coach as well. And she says she's also texting this guy who's in Texas somewhere. And he's he's a man of God. So that shit's not going to work. But anyway, our last scene, gang gang, gang 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 gang. Slee meets up with RD. I'm very conflicted about having RD on my screen, but I've been conflicted about having RD on my screen even when he was with Nonko. I don't like when we platform the worst of us. Or there's been nothing good that's come out about this person, and this is such a major stage to give somebody. I was hoping it's the last we've seen of him. Apparently not. Anyway, he sits down to dispute everything that my phone's ringing. To dispute everything that Nonko has been saying about him. He says, because Nonko has said to us that she was basically scammed by him, like material was taken from her from building sites and by him. He's saying that's not what happened. In fact, she had a project that was stuck and I was trying to help her with it. Slee then says to us, it seems what's happened here is that Nonko thought this guy was more moneyed than he was. Nonko thought this guy was a baller. And then she learned that guy's not a baller. And so she wanted out and she chose a convenient thing to leave with because he already has a criminal past. If she threw this at him, it's going to stick. And it has stuck, I also believed Nonko. And now I'm like, I don't not believe her, but I believe there's more to the story because he's saying to us, this person is saying that this is a court case. Have you guys heard any updates? Have you guys seen any dockets? There's no court. There is no court. That's what he's claiming. I haven't looked it up. I don't even know how to go about doing shit like that. I just like to talk my shit on here. But we'll see how that unfolds. Looking forward to the next episode. The division is annoying me. But that's it. Mwah. Bye, Yala.